It's round 10 of the 1993 Pepsi Cup. The season almost at the halfway point, and for the first time, the Perth Demons find themselves out of the top 5. As runners-up in the summer football competition, they showed they'd be the big improvers once the Pepsi Cup season was underway. But now, 2 losses in a row has left them in 6th place and vulnerable in this tight competition. West Perth find themselves in 3rd place. Some old faces around, and West Perth at Lathlain here today. But West Perth, of course, are keeping their team very secretive. We couldn't get into their rooms, so I just wonder what they're hiding prior to this game. Welcome to Lathain Park for the game Perth and West Perth. It should be a beauty on this Foundation Day holiday. The weather is fine, overcast, a cold breeze coming in from the east northeast, and the temperature at the moment is 17 degrees. With me in commentary, Wally Foreman. Expert comments will be from Brian Cousins, and our on-ground reporter is Tanya Armstrong. Let's take a look at the teams for today's game. Perth firstly, playing West Perth here at Lathlain this afternoon, and not a bad crowd in attendance to see this game. There's the Perth team, Brian, and I don't think any changes from the team that was listed in the press this morning.
No, and I think the young lad on the bench there, Trevor, number 37, Rowan Howardson, playing his first league game today. And I know last week when we saw the game between Claremont and Perth, he was a very, very good player in the Perth reserve side.
Well, he comes across from the Sunday competition, doesn't he, Brian, where he won the first and best in the competition, I think, last year. So.
I understand the Bowden medal when he was playing for Comstock.
Yeah, number 37 he'll be, Trevor. He's a player to watch, I believe, a young rover, so we'll look forward to seeing that.
And Adrian Barrage back from a very good performance on, which night was it? Tuesday night for New South Wales.
And of course West Perth, and you'll notice there the first ruck being led by Wasley. We're led to believe there was no Craig Nelson in this side, and that's a big blow to the Falcons' chances here this afternoon. He's been their linchpin in most games this season.
Yes, and captaining the side this year, Craig Nelson, been an outstanding player for a long period of time for West Perth, and they will certainly miss him. But it'll be an interesting chance for Wasley, who's been at West Perth now for a couple of years after crossing from East Perth. Never really set the world on fire, and he'll be supported in the ruck by Ian Downsborough from Burracoppin, and I think Downsborough is the inclusion into the 20, replacing Nelson.
After watching the game against East Fremantle last week, I was a bit surprised that Downsborough hadn't made the team. But of course they did play very well against East Fremantle. The Demons will be fired up, Brian. Their backs are to the wall. They must win today to keep in touch now that they've dropped out of the top 5.
Yes, particularly I suppose with their record, Trevor, of losing or having a lot of close games and losing a couple of close ones recently. I'm sure Ken Armstrong would have spent a lot of time of keeping their morale up and saying to them that they've been a very competitive side, that you make your own luck in footy, and if they persist and keep doing so, they can still have a very successful year. But I do agree with you, Trevor. They are at the crossroads, and they're playing a side in West Perth that have won 3 of their last 4, and I think it's 5 of their last 6 games. So they're in very, very good form, West Perth.
Just waiting on the Falcons to come out onto the ground. While you're talking about Perth, Brian, one of their big problems the last few seasons has been kicking winning totals. But when I look at that forward line today, it would give me greater heart if I was a Perth supporter, looking at players like Davis, Jackson, McNaughton in the full forward line, Dick and Barrich on the 2 half-forward flanks. If it lines up like that, it's a fairly potent forward line.
Yes, well, they've gone today with height in both their 2 key positions. We see Troy Davis, one of the players you've mentioned on screen there. We've seen him a couple of occasions this year kick quite a few goals, and that's the young player Rowan Howardson that just walked past him there and just coming back on screen, the young lad playing his first game, and I recall last week him kicking 3 goals in the last quarter, so he'll add a bit of firepower to their forward line.
Both teams on the ground here at Lathlain for our game of the day. I hope you're going to enjoy it with us. Willie Dick will be a very important part for the Perth side today, and West Perth, as Brian has mentioned, certainly buoyant after wins against East Fremantle and Swan Districts in the last couple of weeks. Well, Tanya Armstrong is down on the ground. That could be a very tricky breeze, Tanya, and a very cold one this afternoon.
It is very cold, Trevor, and very tricky, just as I was about to say. It's very blustery. It's sort of favouring the railway end of the ground at this stage, but it's almost blowing across the ground. I think goals would be hard to come by at both ends of the ground. They say a chance of a shower later on, but I think it might hold off till after 5.
Any news about Craig Nelson as why he's out of the side?
Well, it was a secret, you know, Trevor, so I didn't know. I'll endeavour to find out.
Thanks a lot, Tanya. Well, Tanya Armstrong, of course, she'll be doing our on-ground reports in this match here this afternoon. Well, Perth, if they're to win this game, Brian, where do you think their main attacking drives will come from?
Well, obviously, we've mentioned in past, Trevor, when we've covered Perth games, that they're very strong midfield, but I also agree with Wally. They do appear, if they line up the way, to have the best structured forward line that they've had so far this year. Toby Jackson's been a player that, whilst he's been around the Perth Football Club for quite a few years, has often performed well in the key forward positions. And we see the West Perth coach there on screen, and Jeff Geeshan with his advisors. But as I was going on to say, I do believe it's their forward line structure supported by a strong midfield.
West Perth in recent times have kicked good tallies of goals against East Fremantle and Claremont, and of course, as Wally has mentioned, they seem a lot better now in the forward area, more cohesion and more system when they go into attack.
Yes, Trevor, and they've probably got some players there that add great flexibility. Hall, I know, has played at both ends of the ground. He is, in my opinion, one of the most valuable players at WAFL level, and obviously a player working towards getting more opportunities with the Eagles, but he's certainly proven to be a dominant player. They have West back in the side now after his early games with the Eagles, and West last year's Sandover medalist, so they certainly have a collection of class players. And there's also, quite frankly, a few players that are new to me that I haven't seen in the side. Valentine playing in the centre today, and they also have Freeman back into the side at full forward, who's been a prolific goal kicker in past seasons.
It's very interesting, Brian, to look at this West Perth side. 5 Victorian players in the team, or 5 interstate players in this 20 this afternoon. And Jeff Geeshan has gone to some lengths, hasn't he, in the last 12 months to bring some players over to add to their depth.
Yes, and he's obviously not only a good coach, Jeff Geeshan, but a very good judge of players. The players that he's brought over have all fitted into the West Perth side. Obviously hard-working players that add a bit. And I suppose another thing West Perth have done this year is calling back 2 players, I think, who had retired for a year, in Wayne Damon and a former captain in Paul Hasler. So they've really gone out of their way to get some players back, been quite prepared to introduce new players.
Miracle recovery by that fellow.
Stephen Pearce.
Sorry to change the subjects on you so suddenly, but just seeing him on screen, he looked as though he wasn't going to play this week when he went off last week, didn't he?
Yeah, very much so, but he's back there to lead the Perth ruck. And
it's ironic that he's in and Nelson is out. Nelson, we believe, has a sore back, probably with all the work he's been doing in the last 10 years for West Perth. He's been carrying them for a long time, hasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, and he has been an outstanding player.
Lack of height there, Brian, immediately exposed by the fact that Nelson's not in the team.
Yes, I agree. But the only thing, Trevor, in these blustery conditions, the ball is going to be on the ground more today than in a normal game of football. And whilst the loss of Nelson will be certainly felt, their lack of height may very well prove to be an advantage with the ball spending more time at ground level.
It's been disappointing for West Perth because they've brought some big fellows through, but they just continually get injured or haven't quite measured up. But Basil Zemplis, for example, is one fellow who they have some hope for, and who plays his heart out for this club, but he just can't get on the ground with stress fractures and a variety of injuries.
Yes.
They really are light on when it comes to the taller players.
Yes, I agree with that. And
well, he's a very promising player, Zemplis.
Yes, he's been a player that's been able to play in the ruck and in the forward line for them. He's done a couple of, played some excellent games. Also done the job as a centre forward, and also playing on good players from the opposition sides.
Crowd continues to build up here at Lathlain Oval for this game between the Demons and the Falcons. There's Basil Zemplis, and although he may not be on the ground as a player, he's been doing a good job socially for West Perth. He's their man who does all the nights for them on the microphone. He's got some talent.
He's actually involved with a program, with a new newspaper called Rookies Review, which is a very interesting paper directed at young sports people, and he is the editor and almost sole writer for it, but he's done a terrific job with the first 3 editions.
This game almost about to get underway, and it'll be West Perth. He'll be going to the left side. There's Willie Dick, been in great form this season for the Demons. Wasley for West Perth, with a big job on his hands today now. And he'll be pitted against one of the best ruckmen in the WAFL competition in Stephen Pearce. Pensini with a job in the forward area for the Demons. Thompson, number 39.
I think Simmons has started on the bench for West Perth. That's a surprise.
I'd agree with that, Trevor.
And Allard on the bench for Perth.
And there's the game underway. Robbie West tries to escape, the ball being held to him, and the umpire will bounce it down as Russell Thompson put a good strong tackle There's Simmons and Hawkey Hasler.
Well, there's confusion everywhere up at the northern end of the ground.
What's the problem, Will?
Well, Perth have got 2 or 3 players up there. They can't find anyone. Now Mifka's running back into that area, the West Perth forward area, and that's solved Hastie's problem.
Darren O'Brien's kicks a shocker. Thompson juggled the mark and it's been paid just backward of the centre circle. He's back in form with that. That kick lacks any sort of depth. Landed with Mildenhall, who feeds Mifka in the middle. He goes for a foot pass to centre half forward, and the mark pulled down there by Curley, I'm sorry. So Curley from 50 metres. This breeze is very, very fluky, laying across the ground. Not really favouring either end, Brian, is it?
No, I'd agree with that, Trevor. It's coming almost straight across the ground and obviously gusty.
The kick is offline, way offline in fact, and floats out of bounds on the full, and the kick to be taken by the Demons in defence.
There you see the windsock. That fellow be getting some good advice from it, I would think, as Perth look to clear the ball around the outer side of the ground. John Zakos has it in the left full-back pocket, goes very short, and it's picked up at bootlace level by Russell Thompson. Perth now get it well out of the danger zone as they go towards the outer side of the ground, and Wosley goes up and takes a very good mark. That's a good start by him. Gets the hand pass away, and the opportunity now for Harris to drive the Falcons forward. He gets it towards full forward, but Zakos, sitting back at the top of the square unattended, takes the uncontested mark. That'll go close to going out on the full. The breeze really got hold of that, and Clark wasn't able to get there, but fortunately for the Demons, it bounced. So the throw-in will take place on the 50-metre line. In fact, just inside it. Very cold conditions in Perth this afternoon, as Downsborough does the ruck work for the Falcons. And we're going to have a bounce down in the same position. Forecasted breeze or wind was a northeasterly, but as Trevor has told you, it's almost due east at the moment, as Downsborough goes up and wins it down, but straight down to Nicholas. Hand pass for Perth almost went astray, but Zakos, who's been prominent early, gets it away eventually to Nicholas, and he was held when he didn't have it, and that will be 50 metres against West Perth. The kick had been clearly awarded, and West Perth chose to play on with it.
I'd like to see that again, because I thought the ball actually spilt from the tackle with Nicholas. I felt he was probably lucky to get the free kick.
He may well have been, and that's not 50 metres, that's what, 30 metres at best. He's put the man on the mark in the centre circle. Can't possibly be 50 metres. As it goes to half forward for the Demons, Jackson is caught, taken away by West Perth. Painter involved in that exchange of hand passes, and he finishes up with it. Drives to half forward. Wasn't a particularly good kick, a difficult one to mark. This is Russell Clark for the Demons. No one to give it to. Eventually gets in the direction of Thompson, but it's intercepted by Harris. He gets it away to Mildenhall, and Mildenhall goes back to a vacant goal mouth. It's a good kick. There's the first goal of the game, or is it? We'll wait on the goal umpire. It's there. There's touch and go, but Mildenhall has kicked the first goal of the game. The Falcons are 1 goal straight. Perth are yet to score.
Yes, and West Perth appear to be adopting a tactic with these breezes of being quite happy to run the ball into their forward line, and you see now the hand pass out from Harris there to Mildenhall, but quite a few of their passages of play have involved players being prepared to run the ball. And you were mentioning before, Wally, that in the Perth defence or West Perth attack, there's only 1, 2, 3 West Perth players. The rest are up on the wing or behind the centre square, and they are running through into their forward line.
Set a bounce. Up they go. Wosley wins the tap, trying to get it down towards Harris, who burrows in, picked up by Pears. Williams now round his body towards half forward, up over the top. McNaughton, Painter was in front. Mifka goes the wrong way. He's gone defensively, but it's going to favour Jones. He got a good bounce. Jones lays it off out very wide. Not a good kick. McNaughton's out there with Painter, and they force it over the line and out of bounds. A little bit indecisive there, I thought, West Perth.
Yes, well, I think Mifka saw his teammate Jones free and attempted to sock it to him, but unfortunately the socker was stronger than he intended and went about 30 metres into Perth's attacking area.
Pensini brings it down to Barrich. Dick hemmed in on the boundary, picked up by Painter, who hugs the boundary with that hand pass. Harris didn't keep it in the field of play. Simmons and Hasler doing some warm-ups on the boundary. West Perth, the first ones to draw blunt here, as Mifka goes over the top of Pensini. And again, it's a boundary throw-in. West Perth, one straight goal. The Demons yet to get on the board, yet to go into attack, really. It's Mifka again from behind Pensini. Dick graving the front of the pack. West went looking for him and missed him. Mifka picks it up, loses it to Barrich. Now chance for Perth. Marnie goes to Thompson. Now Williams, he'll use it intelligently. He's gone very high to the forward line. Jones. No, it's not Jones, it's Freeman in defence who's pulled down the mark.
Freeman at full back. The Falcons' leading goal kicker last year with 44. He's defending goals for them this year, and that's a good kick too. Gets it to the outer side of the ground. West Perth at right half back, looking for something on centre wing. Tooby was the player who took the mark, and Curley was the target. But it was intercepted by the Demons. And now they have the chance through Williams, who gets it to Thompson, who's the centre side of half forward, just behind half forward, as he kicks now down towards full forward. Jackson is the target, Freeman at the back. Chance at the front for Russell Thompson. Another chance. Didn't have the ball. Well, he was well positioned when that ball came in. Just sitting off the side of the pack. Jones is the player who's infringed. And the chance now for Perth to level the scores. A very important game for both teams. Perth 6th on the ladder. West Perth are 3rd. But there's very little between 3rd and 7th. Missed, I think. Perth with a 4-win, 5-loss record. West Perth with a 5-win, 4-loss record. And just 1 point between the two teams when they met in the first round back on April the 17th. The Falcons getting up by the narrowest possible margin. So it promises to be a very exciting encounter, this one. That's a penetrative kick, getting it towards half forward where Thompson couldn't take the mark. Russell Thompson was pushed in the back, and he will get the free kick just outside 50 metres. Players calling for it square across the ground. He ignored that, which was a good move, and Jackson, who provided a good solid lead, was on the end of a perfectly weighted kick.
A very, very skillful pass then by Russell Thompson. I think it's his 4th or 5th kick for the afternoon already, and we're only 10 minutes into the game. So he's starting to be an effective player for Perth.
Toby Jackson, who can be a very influential player if he can hold his marks in one of the two key forward positions. He started at full forward this afternoon. It's a good kick. I think it's just about good enough. It is. The Demons have their first and they take the lead. They're 1-1. West Perth are 1 goal straight.
Yes, and we see Toby Jackson, the goal kicker, on the screen there, and Thompson, the kicker, and he managed to get that pass through. Mifka endeavouring to cut across. That wasn't Mifka, actually. It was Jones endeavouring to cut across to spoil Jackson, but wasn't able to do so. But with 1 goal each apiece, it's no sides demonstrated any dominance.
Wosley against Pears in the middle of the ground. Bounce favours Wosley, wins the tap. Mildenhall lost it. Marnie put a tackle on him, then pushes it out, but taken by Mifka, who finds Lambourne in the middle of the ground. He's got back up from Valentine. Brilliant smother by Willie Dick. That was clever. And now with a bullet-like foot pass to the half-forward line, Davis has wrapped up the mark.
That'll be an interesting duel, won't it? Davis on Damon, a couple of feisty customers.
Davis goes looking for Jackson. With him is Freeman. In front, Jones misses the mark. Harris at ground level. Pushed away by Thompson into the path of Mifka, who finds Lambourne. Lambourne from deep in his own defensive zone. That's a courageous mark from Valentine. He stood his ground. Harris again, in trouble. Gets it away to Valentine just in time. West Perth outnumbered here. All hopelessly outnumbered. Williams has got it. He's pulled off the kick and it heads towards the boundary line on the members' side of the ground.
It's a clever kick then by Malcolm Williams. He saw he had nothing to kick to and passed the ball on his left foot, aiming for the boundary line.
Wosley doing well in this early part of the game, but Pears reaches over the top. Perth work it out, West Perth work it out. Valentine to Harris. Lambourne close to the boundary with Thompson. This is Russell Thompson, who's done some good things so far. Mifka the fist over the top, bursting through O'Brien. No free kick there. West also taken high. This is Harris fumbling. He's in trouble now. Barrich is there, and so is Willie Dick for the Demons. Harris is down behind play. I think West Perth were pleased to see it go over the boundary. Harris got a beauty right in the head, and he's fitting that at the moment.
He's also limping. Throw in midway between right centre wing and right half forward for the Demons. Pears from behind at the second attempt, but it's taken by Harris for the Falcons. Williams a chance, straight through cold fingers, taken by Nicholas. Chance for Thompson. Close to the line, as you can see. Williams again, starting pretty well against one of his former teams. And there's a few of them. Cable back to Williams, that's dangerous. Curley, oh, weak effort by Curley. Went one hand, he might get out of it. He'll get the free kick, surely. Didn't need it. Down towards Mildenhall. He kicked their first goal, should kick their second. Good effort by Mildenhall. He's a class player. Doesn't make too many mistakes. That's the Falcons' second. They're 2 goals straight. And Perth are 1-1.
Yes, and very good kick from Mildenhall. As you said, Wally, he's kicked both their goals, and he's taken his time when kicking the ball with his tricky crosswind. But I think Perth very much contributed to that opportunity by fiddling around with the ball in defence. We've got a windy day, and if you're going to do your short passes, they've got to be right on, otherwise the wind will make them sway through the air and give the opposition a chance to take the ball back.
5 points in favour of the Falcons. Wosley and Pears even Stevens. Pears takes it almost for the second time. Robbed of it by West, who kicks to full forward. Zakos leads in the race. And coming in to assist now was Wilson. Zakos clears it away, only momentarily though, although Lambourne tried to be a bit ambitious. Harris got it to West. West to O'Brien. O'Brien can kick from 50 metres. He goes long. It's offline. In fact, hits the post.
That was another passage of play, Trevor, where Perth are fiddling around. Their skills in these conditions are nowhere near as good as West Perth at this early stage. West Perth have been passing the ball by the hand or foot with a lot more precision than the Perth side.
Good kick by Wilson. Hasty interference in the pack. And it's going to West Perth. Advantage paid. Lambourne now from 50. A flat punt falls short. Clean bowls Cummings and Downsborough. And rushing it through is Nicholas for a behind. West Perth lead by 7 points in the first term here from Lathlain. 30 minutes gone in this first quarter.
Wilson brings it in again. Good kick this time. He's found Williams just outside the 50-metre line. Curley on the mark. Towards centre half back. Beautifully weighted kick. Cable, who's taking some time to get into the game. Towards centre half forward. Dick using his body against the taller player back there. But West Perth bring it away. That was good football, determined football by Valentine, but it didn't go far. Pears drives it back towards, back in the direction of Jackson. Freeman looking for the kick, could perhaps have been a little unlucky. Damon has it now. This is Mifka. West Perth working out of defence well. Down towards centre wing. Jones is there. Marnie going back with him. Marnie did well, but knocked it straight to an opponent. Painter from right centre wing in towards centre half forward. And this time Curley holds the mark. Todd Curley at centre half forward. Players running into open spaces. The ball didn't carry. It was intended out there for Thomas. And now Cable takes it away off the half-back line for the Demons. He kicks towards Thompson. Russell Thompson has it at left half-back. Pensini offers the lead. That's been ignored. Now McNaughton offers another one. He's run hard for this ball but couldn't get there in time. The mark is paid to Mifka.
Good strong mark by Paul Mifka, one of the veterans of the West Perth team. 161 games for the Falcons. Big pack up. Comes down towards Todd Curley. He finds some space and with good vision hits Lambourne on the chest. He wants to go. Well, he changed his mind 4 times then, Brian.
Yes, he perhaps should have gone because the Perth players were very slow to get on his mark, and I think even now they've given him 3 or 4 metres. The player on the mark's about 3 or 4 metres behind where he marked it.
One of the boys from Wodonga. It's coming back but not enough. And offline. West Perth are doing all the attacking. It doesn't show on the scoreboard at the moment. Hasty's got the sit. Went one-handed with him as Lambourne feeds West. Blanketed by Robert Thompson, who gets them out of trouble, the Demons. Valentine got a good bounce. A high tackle from Pearce, kicks to centre half forward. Danger man Mildenhall in front. Over the top of him was Marnie. In goes little Harris in there. Pushed out by Mildenhall. O'Brien screws it beautifully for Lambourne. On the run from 45, he chips it short, and the mark has been taken 25 metres out on a 45-degree angle by West Perth's Ivelich. Played a great game last week against East Fremantle, kicked 4 goals, and he should go close from here. He's put it through the middle. West Perth at 3-3-21, Perth at 1-1-7.
Well, Trevor, I can only repeat the comment I made a few moments ago that West Perth's ball handling skills, there's quite a deal of difference. In the last few minutes we've seen Hasty twice go for marks one-handed when he's been in a position to get both hands in the air, and O'Brien, a very skillful player here, chips the ball around the corner. Firstly it goes to Lambourne, who then passes very neatly to Ivelich, who kicked the goal. But West Perth seem to have a lot more skill on their side at this stage.
They seem to be working a lot harder too, Brian. A chance for Cable now to send the Demons forward. Williams, Hasty, straight through the centre of the ground. Now they've gone wide, out in the direction of McNaughton. He's beaten for it by Pensini. That's intended for McNaughton, I think, but it made life pretty difficult for him. Painter, good umpiring. He ducked into the tackle. Pretty tough. This is Pensini again. Tough on the half-forward line. McNaughton from 35 metres out has stopped the West Perth run with a timely goal for the Demons. That's their second. They're 2-1. West Perth are 3-3.
Yes, and McNaughton probably has earned that goal with his energy in the forward line. We spoke a few moments ago of his efforts in leading. He led up the ground very strongly, and Pensini coming through here feeds it off to the energetic McNaughton, who brought up Perth's second goal.
Mildenhall has kicked 2, Ivelich 1 for West Perth, and now McNaughton's on the board, along with Toby Jackson for the Demons. Pushed out by Wosley, but straight to Nicholas, who thumps it into attack. 55-metre kick. From behind it was Jones. Pensini was in front, but Valentine gives it to Damon, and Damon keeps it in the field of play with a beautifully weighted kick that hits Lambourne again. Lambourne to Wosley, taken high by Pensini, is it, or Clark? The umpire's going to bring it back. Wosley's doing a good job so far, Brian.
He has, certainly. There's been no loss of impetus in the ruck for the West Perth side, with Wosley replacing his captain, Craig Nelson.
21 plays 13 in favour of the Falcons so far. Drop punt, very high. Hall in front. From behind, Pearce has pulled down the mark. Pearce makes about 10 metres, kicks into the middle of the ground. This is Pensini. Again, he goes out very wide. McNaughton the target. Behind his Painter. McNaughton beautifully judged. Kicked a goal a few moments ago. Now he's gone looking for Jackson. Jackson's broken away. Freeman arrives just in time. Was Jackson held? Not according to the umpire. Mifka threads the hand pass to Freeman, and Freeman keeps it in and puts it out in front of Painter. Posing as McNaughton. He's taken him high, and Leaf Painter with the free kick for the Falcons. Pretty tough customer, Walt.
Yes, hard-running player. He's at right half-back at the moment. He might have been a bit lucky to get away with that. As the kick goes down towards centre wing, there was a push by Hall. It went unseen. Well taken by Cable. Rode the bump beautifully. Gets it to Clark, and that was pretty well done too. Clark back towards the 50-metre line. Barrage at the back. Good effort by the West Perth defence. They got across the face of the pack in the nick of time. Tuvey and Valentine. And we'll have a throw-in at left half forward for Perth. Pensini will do the ruck work, and he's going to be opposed by Mifka by the look of it. Pensini with a decided height advantage. Davis went without it. Jones up towards half back for West Perth. Marnie close to the line. Mildenhall with him, and there'll be a throw in just behind the half forward line for the Demons, and that's how cold it is here in Perth this afternoon. I'll be sharing those rugs before the day's out.
Steady well.
Pensini intercepting the hand pass. Clark has it. Chance for Perth now. Shocking kick taken by West. Mildenhall, Mifka. Oh, he took too long. Gets another chance. They're hemmed in back there. Tuvey goes wide to West again. West down the centre wing, and it's taken by Wasley. It's really building up an interesting batch of statistics at the moment as he kicks in towards centre half forward for the Falcons. Williams is there, unattended almost, and he takes the relieving mark. This is dangerous. With the run coming from Wilson from full back, it needs to sit, and it will, and now they've got Hasty, so it's worked out pretty well for them, although the kick wasn't all that good. He gets around Lambourne. Thompson, he can go back to Cable. He has to go back to Cable. Cable under pressure, met solidly by Ivelich, and allows West Perth to break it up. Damon gets it to O'Brien. O'Brien to half forward. Downsborough spoiled from behind. This is Robert Thompson. Back towards centre wing and Hasty. Let's see if they can do it better this time.
Good kick from Thompson. Hasty from the members' wing. Another good-looking drop punt. Davis up. Spoiled from behind by Damon. Throws to Dick. Dick a brilliant hand pass to Barrage. Barrage tackled by Painter. Got his kick in. It'll land short. Freeman gets a fist to it. One behind to the Demons.
The great skill of Willie Dick was on display there. Read the play off the hands magnificently.
Got eyes in his ears.
Freeman to put it back in for the Falcons. Good standard of game so far. Pearce best placed and goes up too tall for West. West got up there from behind.
Probably should have spoilt Trev. I think he was trying to outmark him.
Yes. Stephen Pearce. Drop punt right across the forward line. Mithka short circuits the move. Lambourne has got into the open a few times, both in the forward area and in defence. Wasley doing very well. Didn't work that out too well. Got it his copybook, Wasley, I'm afraid. Pensini's there, number 23 for the Demons. Davis snaps but he's way offline. Freeman and Jackson together again. Freeman does well in a tight situation. And now Mithka patrolling the defence like a policeman. Jones from the point of the square. Kicks to the wing. Mildenhall up in front of Marnie. Marnie to first back. Pushes it out for Thompson, who heads for the boundary. This is Curley, who lost his footing. Mildenhall. West. Gee, they kept it in. Not much room to manoeuvre there. Thomas is out there in the pocket. And Nicholas runs it over the boundary 15 metres out from the West Perth goal. Time running down on this first term. About 2 minutes off time on. Hall and Nicholas. Thompson from behind. Not many ruckmen there. Cable's kick smothered by West. It comes back to Zakos. Now Nicholas. Williams. And it's out of danger for the Demons for the moment. Into open territory. Dick the first to arrive. Lambourne sweated on him. Dick broke the tackle easily and kicks it into the middle for Pensini.
He's doing okay, Pensini, as he kicks to centre half forward. The target was Davis. Chance for McNaughton at the back, who provides a bit of vigour and run on that half forward line. This time they've given away the kick, Perth, and the free kick will go to West Perth to be taken by Painter. Now Tuvey bouncing his way across the half back line, trying to draw a player. Cable wouldn't go to him. He did that pretty well, Cable. In fact, he did it very well. He should have got some support. He created enough time and no one went and helped him. They'd conceded the ball, I think. Hall and Nicholas down there. Hall's he's got his hands full against Nicholas at the moment. Zakos lending good support this time for the Demons, and we'll have a bounce down at right half forward. Some good work by the Perth defence after Shane Cable had been let down a little on centre wing. West Perth are 3-3. Perth are 2-2. We're into time on, or almost into time on, in this first quarter as Clark takes the ball away from the half back line. He's had a good first quarter. Down towards the half forward line. Jones caught under the ball, socket on by Barrage. Chance for Painter. He's been playing well in this term also. Valentine did that superbly. Kept his eyes on the ball and spears the pass up to Ivelich. He's in the centre square, so West Perth are still a long way from home. He goes very short to O'Brien. It's not O'Brien, I'm sorry, it's Harris. Darren Harris. Now he's gone wide to Mildenhall, but he's got room. He can approach the goal, chips the pass. Poor kick, very poor kick, and it's intercepted by Cummings.
Some of these players are trying to be a bit too fancy on both sides, right?
This is Lamborn who thought about going. That's a terrible clearance by Cummings.
That's a good example of what I just said.
Well, West Perth gave the ball away, and Perth in turn have given it away. The Perth mistake could be more costly because Lamborn will line up from just inside 50 metres. He's got a tricky breeze to contend with. He's kicking almost directly into the northeasterly breeze. Hasn't got the distance. It's a fairly strong breeze also, as Perth crash in and claim the ball. And we're going to have a bounce just outside the goal square, the West Perth goal square. West Perth are 3-3, Perth are 2-2. Mildenhall, who's kicked both of West Perth's goals. It goes right across the face of goal. Lamborn again, trying to knock it further afield. He knew Mifka was 5 metres ahead of the play. He wasn't able to knock it on effectively, and the throw-in will take place on West Perth's 50-metre line on the members' side of the ground. Grandstand side of the ground. Hall arrives. The throw-in actually clears the ruckman, or those that were going to contest it. This is Nicholas for Perth. Horrible kick, marked by Jones.
Solid defender, and with good vision, finds O'Brien, sold the dummy, and then with a brilliant foot pass, finds Harris. He goes out wide. Mildenhall again, metres on his own. Marnie's very loose on Mildenhall, and Mildenhall's kick finds West. The Sandover medalist is marked 35 to 40 metres out on a slight angle, but Mildenhall given far too much latitude.
Yes, I agree with that, Trevor. And the foot passing of West Perth in these tricky conditions have been excellent. It's probably not reflected on the scoreboard. If West kicks this goal, it will actually put them twice per score, and that's probably what they deserve to be, in my opinion, the way they played this first quarter.
West, drop punt on the way, looks good. Straight as a die from Robbie West. Drop from the West Coast Eagles for the last couple of games, and a welcome acquisition here for the West Perth side. But look at the pass from O'Brien. Always uses it intelligently, doesn't he?
He's a very, very skillful player, Trevor, Darren O'Brien. Probably a player, I think, that's had the capacity to go to the next level, but for one reason or another hasn't gone on. And West brings up West Perth's 4th goal.
Well, the margin is 13 points now, so Perth can't afford to get further behind than this, or they wouldn't want to get further behind than this at quarter time, and in fact would like to pull one back, I'm sure, if they can, before quarter time. West takes it out of the centre for West Perth and kicks towards the outer side of the ground. Mildenhall been a damaging wingman in this first term. This is Mifka. O'Brien loose at centre half forward again. He can go. Hasty gets to him in the nick of time. Chance for Cable, who's come into the game more strongly in the second half of this term. He kicks down towards half forward. Half volleyed by Barrage. Did pretty well in the first instance, but that cost him. Harris gets it to Mifka. West Perth rebound again. Clark at the back. Nicholas off hands. Drew the player, drew the tackle and got it to Williams. Out in the direction of Pears, but it's gone too far. Gives Valentine a chance. He knocks it back towards Lamborn. Well played by Valentine. Lamborn from left centre wing. There's the siren. It's quarter time at Lathain Park, and it was a pretty good first term, particularly by the Falcons. They're 4-3. Perth are 2-2. 13 points in favour of West Perth.
Thanks, Wally. 27 plays 14, the goal scorers for both teams. Wosley did a great job for West Perth in that first term on the ball. Mildenhall, a danger player, kicked 2. Ivelich and Robbie West, the other goal scorers. And for the Demons, it was Jackson and McNaughton. Some very good games being played today. Claremont are meeting East Perth. Claremont lead there. The Derby, South Fremantle just in front of the Sharks. And Swan Districts have started very well against Subiaco in what is going to be a tough game at league headquarters this afternoon. Well, West Perth are without Craig Nelson today. Doesn't miss too many games, Brian, and he's got to be a pretty serious injury to keep the big man out.
Yes, I'd agree with that. He's been a very resilient player over a long period of time, and interestingly enough, Trevor, the player who's been given the responsibility of leading the ruck for West Perth is very close to the most dominant player on the ground, and that's Wosley in the ruck.
And there's some private tuition at quarter time. I wonder if he's got to pay for that.
No, I'd say that might be on the house, that one.
You think so? It's great to see, isn't it? He's been a great player, for West Perth, and it's a pity to see him out of this side today in the game against the Demons. But nevertheless, Wasley doing a sterling job as the stand-in number 1 ruckman. Milton Hall got to wait too often in that first quarter. Marnie has to really tighten up, or Ken Armstrong has to make a move. He's a very damaging player once he starts to break free.
A very skillful player, as he's demonstrated with the 2 goals he's kicked, and a player that doesn't waste any possession. And that's an excellent kick, that one, because it's just on the 50-metre line, and with the cross breeze, it takes quite a skillful player to kick that goal. And I think we see the second goal coming up here from Milton Hall as he runs into space, lines the ball up.
Beautifully balanced, Brian, when he kicks.
Very much so.
Did a good job in that first term for West Perth. He's one of the reasons why they hold this lead at quarter time, 27-14. Ken Armstrong with his problems, Brian. He needs to fire up this Perth side now for this second quarter.
Well, certainly. I mean, West Perth have been clearly the better side. I believe their foot passing has been far superior to Perth. Perth have put some of their better players in Willie Dick and Barrage down in the forward line, but they perhaps are missing the class in the midfield area, because the ball handling skills of the West Perth side, as I said, has been the difference, and perhaps with the exception of Shane Cable, Perth's 2 talented players are on the half-forward flank.
Who've been some of the better players for West Perth?
Well, for West Perth, it's the first time I've seen them this year, and there's been a large number of their players who impressed me. I've mentioned Wasley. I think Painter on the half-back flank's been excellent. Valentine, who was named in the centre, but I think is playing off a half-back flank's been an excellent player. Milton Hall on the wing, who we discussed. Lambourne, I think, has been on the grandstand side wing, has been excellent. And Harris, Darren Harris, their rover, has also played well. For Perth, most of their best players have come from defence. I think Nicholas at centre half-back on Hall has done an outstanding job, because I rate Hall very, very highly as a player, and Nicholas as well on top there. Russell Clark on a half-back flank. Russell Thompson as a midfielding rover has been played well for Perth, as has Malcolm Williams. But I do feel that Williams and Thompson have to make sure they get the same benefit from their disposals as some of the West Perth players, and perhaps O'Brien and Milton Hall are the 2 that are the best example of their very good disposal.
Jeff Geeshan doing a good job with the Falcons as McNaughton flashes into the play here. This was a very good goal by Craig McNaughton. Pensini's done some good work too. You might like to comment here, Brian.
Yes, well, I mean, he has been lively and presented himself onto the right side of the ground, and it's good play there with Pensini, as we saw him do the hand pass that was badly directed towards McNaughton, but he followed the play up, eventually corrected his mistake, and the resulting goal to McNaughton. But both sides have endeavoured to play the outer side, or the grandstand, the scoreboard side of the ground. That's where you're going to score most of your goals, as the breeze is coming from that area straight across the ground. And we see there Ken Armstrong, I'm sure, discussing with Warren Marnie and Captain Adrian Barrage, perhaps the various midfielders of West Perth. And I'd be very surprised if they don't have some particular matchups. And I'd say the players that they would be targeting would be Milton Hall and O'Brien.
Ken Armstrong, one of the best centre-line players the WAFL ever produced in his playing days, and also a centre-half forward of some note. Despite his size, he's not a very tall man, Ken, but he held down centre-half forward because of sheer ability in his playing days with the Demons.
There's some very thoughtful coaching today, won't there, between these 2? They're not given to bluff and bluster. They'll think this out as both of them usually do.
Tanya Armstrong, what do the coaches have to say at quarter time?
Thanks, Trevor. Ken Armstrong not very happy with that quarter. He said they're doing the hard work, but they're not making the play, which they want to do on a day like today. And he says, watch where we're kicking. He's not happy with the disposal at all. And he says it's not a day for finessing. He wants 2 hands on the football at all times. Jeff Geeshan fairly happy with that quarter. He wants them to work harder out of the centre, and he says it's a day when we must control the football.
Thanks, Tanya. Chance for West Perth. Lambourne ran into trouble in the shape of Cable. Pushed upfield by Wasley, but straight to Williams, who thumps the Demons into a tag. Jones got an unfavourable bounce. Pensini had it and lost it. Painter working through the traffic, turns back into Willie Dick. Now Valentine, who's done some good things. And again, a neat hand pass. Damon, wrong-footed, but got it to O'Brien. O'Brien, another penetrating kick. Hall from the side. Nicholas couldn't hold the mark. Back comes Hall. He's outnumbered, hopelessly. And now Thompson. Cable. Good foot pass, and a Pensini on the end of it. He's in the middle of the ground. The drop punt. Damon. Davis was out of position and couldn't get back in time. Bad fumble, but he had plenty of time there. Suvi kicks to half-back. Wosley and Pearce. Off hands, down to Thompson. To Marnie. He goes back. Williams. Plenty of leads. And Davis should have held that mark. Damon missed him. He puts it out in front of Willie Dick. From 30 metres he snaps and he's kicked it. The Demons are on the move now. Good passage of play. A couple of fumbles by West Perth allowed Perth in, and Willie Dick has made no mistake.
Yes, actually Troy Davis, the player who made that play, is coming from the ground. I'd say when you mentioned that Damon missed him, I'd suggest that perhaps Damon didn't. And that may be the reason that he's coming from the ground. But Perth, and a good bit of play by Warren Marnie, where he directed the play around the into the centre of the ground and across to the other side of the ground, and that is the attacking side to play.
Altercation down there between Troy Davis and a spectator, a verbal altercation only, but he had plenty to say. As West Perth try and get the ball out of the centre, the ball coming wide in the direction of Mifka. He had to backtrack and took a while to do that. Did that pretty well though. Wosley has it again. Gets the hand pass to Harris, who turned out of one tackle and straight into another and is penalised for holding the ball. That was a good decision as Pearce plays on. The hand pass to Russell Thompson. He's at left centre wing. Looks to the half-forward line. The target is Allard, who's just come onto the ground. He pulls down a strong mark. He's into the game immediately. Here's Russell Thompson again. The ball jarring out of the tackle. Comes to Pensini. He's had a good game towards full forward. McNaughton is there for Perth. Off hands almost to Dick. Taken by Allard. Another chance for Dick. Now West Perth with a chance to clear through Jones. It clears Barrich and Tuvey. The race is on, and Tuvey's happy to see it out of play. Been a lot of errors, but this is a very tricky wind, and conditions are very cold. The fingers would be like ice blocks, I would think. Icy poles, perhaps. Throw in about 60 metres around from the Perth goal, a little bit further out than that. Pensini to the front of the pack, and Thompson, and now Barrich in towards centre half forward. Dick leading in the race for the ball, cleverly knocked away by Valentine. Chance now for Simmons at Mildenhall, who kicks towards centre half forward. Curley did that well. It's wishful thinking for the Falcon supporters, isn't it? As Curley goes back on goal, he's done that even better. Well played, Todd Curley. It's a very good goal and a quick response to the first goal of the term scored by the Demons.
Yes, and good body work then from Turley in the first instance. Curley, as we see him there holding out Thompson from taking the mark, runs down. I think he senses that Malcolm Williams was chasing very hard, which he was, and sidestepped to give himself that bit of space and to ensure he wasn't pulled off the kick.
Lead back to 13 points for the Falcons. Back in the middle. Game restarts with Wosley and Harris combining. Ivelich, Mildenhall, and a good game so far. The kick towards Thomas, couldn't hold the mark. Nicholas couldn't escape, and across the ground goes Wilson. He's given his teammates some work to do. Luckily the boundary came up in front of Marnie. Where's Marnie been, Brian? He's been noticeable by his absence, hasn't he, so far this season? Hasn't he played many games?
Most of the games in the reserves, Trevor. He's been, I think, available in all games, but played mainly reserves.
Hall brings it down to Harris, who goes back to Mifka. Mifka's kick off the side of the boot towards centre half forward. Mildenhall got a fist to it. Thomas caught by Clark, loses it. Ivelich gets his kick in towards the top of the square. From behind, West Perth leap into the air there through Curley, and now Downsborough and Cable.
Yes, I'd venture to suggest that Perth are very lucky with that decision. Whilst the ball was trapped to Cable, he did have a chance to dispose of it before the tackle, and perhaps holding the ball may have been the correct decision.
Downsborough fists it straight to Wilson, who clears it away. Still in the back pocket though. Zakos and Hasty out there. Mildenhall closing. Zakos delays the hand pass forever. A good run from Hasty, and a Perth kick it towards the wing on the outer side of the ground.
His boot went as far as the ball trip.
Willie Dick to Thompson, to Pensini, wanted too long. Run down brilliantly, I think, by West. Now Willie Dick around his body. Painter almost on the half volley. Mildenhall's everywhere. And from half back, He kicks up towards half forward. Hall over the top to Darren O'Brien. He goes long towards the square. Thompson has it fisted away by Curley. Going in recklessly there was Williams on Ivlich. The umpire says, I'll bounce it down. 13 points in favour of the Falcons, 6 minutes into this second quarter.
A good bit of desperation there by all players.
Perth a little bit lucky again, Brian. It was only accidental, I know, but look at this. That's the old body slam, isn't it? Downsborough up over the top, but straight down to Thompson. Now Zakos kicks it around the outer side of the ground, and Hasty, with both boots back on, has been played the mark. I think the umpire anticipated he was going to take it. Hasty's had trouble hanging on today. Usually marking is his forte. And here's Pensini again. Be impressed with him so far, Brian.
Yes, I think it was his first game last week we saw, and he was a good contributor, and he's improving on that effort and being very solid at centre forward today.
Chance for Perth back here as the ball runs to the back of the pack. It's picked up by Valentine. Sends it out to Painter. Painter very short. West has it. He's at left half back and finds Jones. They've handled the ball about 4 times to get it about 30 metres. Harris used his body cleverly and recovered well, but run down by Hasty. It was good football. And Hasty, in fact, has been penalised for a low tackle. So it's going to be a free kick to Harris.
Would have been too hard. Harris slipped a bit, didn't it? Can you have slips?
England could have done with one a couple of times last night. Short kick in.
Only a hiccup, well.
Yep, has found Valentine. That's a penetrating kick. Good kick. Chance for Perth to tidy up. Clark gets the hand pass eventually, and they run it out of defence. Back towards centre wing. They're outnumbered here. Marnie. Lambourne has it. Good kick too. Turley. Oh, Curley, I'm sorry. Heavens above. I don't know my alphabet. Todd Curley at right half forward. Taking a long time. Very indecisive. Now he kicks towards the top of the square. Downsborough almost took the mark on his chest. Cleared by Cable to the outer side of the ground. Hasty leads in the race, and West is with him. West will be happy if he can get it out of play, but Hasty wants to do a little bit better than that, and in fact does very well. Makes about 40 or 50 metres. Dick brilliantly tackled and is penalised for holding the ball, so they'll concede the 40 metres at least.
By Valentine, who's been a very impressive player, Valentine.
He got it to Harris, who also has done some good things. Milton Hall, long towards the pocket, and a good strong mark taken by Hall in front of Nicholas. Derek Hall from 50 metres on the boundary. He's got the favour of the breeze. Good judgment there. Breeze should help him. Drop punt on the way. Will go close, won't reach. West Perth mark. Thomas has taken the mark in the pack. Hasn't been sighted today so far, but that was a good mark.
Well, a relative newcomer and part of the Burracoppin connection.
5 metres out. Kicks the goal for West Perth. So they go to 6-3, 39. The lead out to 19 points now, Brian, and Perth with the job ahead of them.
They sure have, and a strong mark then by Darren Thomas. We haven't seen too much of him so far, but takes a very strong mark in the goal square and kicks his first goal in what is his 3rd game of league football. But it's interesting with West Perth, they've retained in keeping Milton Hall on the outer wing, where most of their attacking manoeuvres have gone through that side of the ground, and the other player they've kept over this side is the other wing in Lambourne.
A decisive ruck knock this time sends Perth forward off the boot of Zakos. Up towards half forward. Valentine in the thick of things again. Now Painter. He's been busy throughout. Chance for Tuvey to tidy up for the Falcons. Milton Hall has it. He's had it numerous times this afternoon. Brilliantly run down.
Allard.
That was Allard. Williams, the tackle, lingered. Russell Thompson pulled off the ball. Lambourne gets it across to Harris. Harris in towards centre half forward. Hall the target, but Thompson up over the top. That's Robert Thompson. Oh, gee. Well, if that's going to be paid, surely they had to pay the kick to Malcolm Williams just a moment ago. It's a free kick to Ivlich. He gets it to O'Brien.
Yes, in these conditions, Wally, I agree. That's not the sort of decision you'd like to see umpires pay in these sort of conditions, because it basically was hardly a free kick at all.
Darren O'Brien will kick from the 50-metre line. The breeze will bring it back from left to right. It's a good kick. Tough penalty as a result of that free kick. 7th goal to the Falcons. They're 7-3. Perth at 3-2. It's time for them to respond.
A very important part of the game coming up here for Perth, that they've been very competitive, as we mentioned at the start of the game, in just about every contest they've had, including the pre-season competition and this one. But now they've really got to dig deep, Perth, because this West Perth side, which is very even, they're getting some good rebound out of the fence. Their midfielders are working hard, and Perth are going to have to lift all over the ground.
Stephen Pears is the man that can do that. That was well done by Dick down to Russell Clark, who wanted a long time. The kick towards Jackson, Freeman over the top. Painter has been spectacular so far in defence, Leith Painter. The kick towards half-back. Todd Curley bounces away from him. Now Willie Dick hand passes it straight up in the air. And Valentine, who got a high tackle and late, will take a free kick for West Perth.
That's silly play by Clark. Totally unnecessary.
Totally agree.
Valentine looked indecisive against Claremont, but he's grown in confidence, Walt, hasn't he? He's
played very well
today.
today.
A good game so far. The kick to the members' wing. Haul up, so was Nicholas. And the umpires played a push. Nicholas to receive the free kick for West Perth. Warren Nicholas, 130 game player for the Demons, kicks to centre half forward. Pensini couldn't hang on. Cable the crumbs. O'Brien chasing him. Cable's backed himself from 50 metres. His kick is cut off by Damon in the nick of time. Wayne Damon had to move and stretch then. It's an underground pass. Mildenhall got a good bounce, finesses, and then goes around his body, but Hasty's in the way. Mithka's with him, and Hasty the mark. From the scoreboard wing, he kicks to half forward, and Amani's marked in front of Mildenhall this time. The kick to centre half forward, lacks depth, and Jones takes a well-judged mark at centre half back for West Perth. They lead by 25 points, almost at the halfway mark of this second term.
Perth just unable to muster any firepower at the moment as Wosley clears it down towards centre wing. Robbie West is on the end of it. Leeds breaking left and right. He goes left. Hall is the target. Nicholas up over the top. He's done a very good job so far, but knocks it straight to Wosley. This is Harris. Harris, not a good kick, but it's found Mildenhall. Run down brilliantly by Marnie. That was inspirational stuff. This is Russell Thompson to the outer wing. Hasty is the target. Mithka was just too tall. That'll be an interesting duel out there. Another chance for West Perth now as it comes back to Thomas. He kicks it, goal, and it's through. The second one in succession to Thomas. The first coming from a good mark, that one from a good snap, and West Perth go further away.
And he looks every bit a big strong farmer, Darren Thomas at centre half forward. But good play by Mithka in holding up that rebound out of defence from the Perth side. And he was supported by his team there. The ball ending up with Thomas, who scored his second goal.
I just wonder who's kicking Barracoppen's goals at the moment, Brian, with the two Downsborough boys down here and Thomas.
Well, there's the other grounds for you. South have got on top of East Fremantle, and Swans and Subiaco in a tight go at league headquarters today. What can Ken Armstrong do here, Brian, to get them back into the game?
Well, he's put Pears at full forward. That's his first move.
Hasty pushes it out. Zakos fumbles badly, loses it to West. Mithka, beautiful foot pass, finds Hall at centre half forward. West Perth are on a roll here, and the Demons are going to be overrun before half time if they can't put the brakes on. It's already a 31-point margin. Hall could stretch it. It's a good kick. He didn't make the distance. Only by a micrometre.
In answer to your question, Trevor, I've got no doubt that he has to give specific jobs to players to cut down the midfielders of West Perth. Just too often they're getting free. The Perth players are prepared to run when they think they're going to get the ball, but you've got to run just as hard to stop your opponent from getting it.
It was Wilson who went up and touched that ball through. He kicks it back into play and Clark clears it. Good strong mark from behind taken by Robbie West. He can get into the air for a little man. The drop punt into the pocket. Up they go, and another strong mark taken by Curley.
It's contagious, isn't it?
Todd Curley.
That's what throws you. It's the T for Todd.
He's on 50. Drop punt is accurate. Won't quite reach. West Perth in front through Hall. Crumps to Harris. He snaps and kicks it. West Perth are 9-4. Perth are 3-2. And the Demons really, at the moment, are being run ragged.
Yes, Trevor, and it's an even spread through the West Perth side. But that good goal there, beautiful roving by Darren Harris, who I think was the first of the Wodonga connection to arrive in Perth. But with players like him, Robbie West, O'Brien, Curley and Milden Hall, they've just got too many midfielders, and Perth are going to have to tighten up very quickly.
Who's kicking the goals for Wodonga these days?
This is Barrage. They need a lot more from their skipper if they're going to get back into this game. Allard not able to control it, and the throw will take place about 55 metres out from the Perth goal.
Actually, it'd be an interesting game between Wodonga and Burracoppin, wouldn't it?
Scoreless draw, wouldn't it? Just thinking the same thing. Throw in on Perth's left half forward flank. Pensini there to do the ruck work for Perth. He's played pretty well at centre half forward, but there's very little happening around him and certainly nothing behind him. Dick drives the ball towards the goal square. Pears is caught behind, Freeman in front. Chance for Allard. Hooks back on goal. It's coming back. Oh, that was a real boomerang. Well, he kicked that into the teeth of the northeasterly breeze. And once the breeze got hold of it, it brought it back superbly. That's a much-needed goal to the Demons. They need a few more yet. They've been outscored 5-2 so far in this second term.
And great play, and that's a tremendously good snap for goal by Allard. And perhaps he's a player, Wally, that could be perhaps used on the ball, Allard, and a player that might be given the job to rove against Harris or West, who's now on the ball.
They're missing more, aren't they?
They sure are.
32 points the margin. Nicholas gets it away. Clark. Harris had him. Ball jars out. This is O'Brien now from the middle of the ground. The umpires paid that mark to Derek Hall.
And he had a shot a few moments ago from there and didn't quite make the distance.
He's on 50 metres, maybe a fraction out when he kicks it. Outside the line. Yes, he's quite a way out. It's a good kick. Massive kick from Hall. And the quick reply. So Perth worked very hard for Allard to snap that brilliant goal a few moments ago, but it's quickly undone.
I was just going to make the comment. I was just going to make the comment, Trevor. We just saw that passage of play where I think it was Harris that ran down Clark. You know, the West Perth players are attacking, and then when they haven't got the ball, they defend. But I don't think the Perth players are doing it with the same degree of intensity, and I think that's the difference. That the West Perth players attack, they defend when the opposition have it. Perth are just attacking and not picking up their opponents.
Jackson wins the ball down to Thompson. Barrage was pulled off it when he didn't have it, and so Perth will get the first kick out of the centre. In fact, it's a hand pass. Zakos has it coming down from half back. Rossi goes to Robert Thompson. He needs to hurry. Took too long. Caught by Curley, and he's penalised for holding the ball. He went down on top of the ball after being tackled. Curley plays on and his kick is smothered. Lambourne a chance back on the half-back line. Oh, he wanted a lot of time. Picked up by Pensini, and he'll be happy to see it out. It won't go out. Harris keeps it in. Lambourne has it. Good recovery by Lambourne. Oh, then kicks into Zakos. Comedy of errors. Zakos off the ground. Damon charges at it. Beaten by the bounce. Allard, can he get another one? Took a long time. Drop kick. Comes to McNaughton. McNaughton straight up in the air. Valentine up over the top. Allard again. Smothered again. McNaughton straight up in the air again. I can't believe what I'm watching. Volleyball. Cable trying to go off the ground. We'll have a bounce, I'm sure.
I'm not sure whether that kick of Allard's was a drop kick or a place kick, actually.
I think it was a drop kick.
He dropped it. He started talking to me when he said drop kick.
I'm sure he was talking to you.
And E for that, Brian.
Pears, taken by Thompson, Robert Thompson. Another chance for Pears, well done by the big fellow. He gets it back towards the square, but Freeman is the only player back there. Well, he thought that out pretty well, Freeman, dropping back into the square, and his kick is a good one. Wasley takes the mark. Oh, no, fair go. It's out of bounds, according to the umpire. Gee, I'd like to see that again. I thought he had control of it before he went over. Throw-in is about 53 metres around from the Perth goal. 20 minutes gone in this second term. Perth in all sorts of strife. Allard has it. Back in the direction of Pensini. Damon with him. Pensini did well to keep it in. Barrich is there. Back towards Allard. And the throw-in just inside 50 metres.
Actually, that's Kit Ferguson, a very experienced boundary umpire, and he's certainly getting a fair bit of work today, the boundary umpires, with some very close calls they have to make.
Comments from Brian Cousins. Over the top then. Jones knocks into the path of Cable and past to Barrich, who's been quiet, and the kick lacks depth and has been marked in defence by Valentine. Away he goes and goes right across the ground. The run being provided by Freeman. Freeman from half back now. Good looking drop punt. Puts it out in front of Mildenhall. Coming down to meet at Ivelich. Sells the dummy nicely. Swings it towards full forward. Thomas interfered with. Player on the call. Ivelich to Mildenhall from outside 50. Drop punt's a beauty. Nicholas going back though takes a well-judged mark. Good kick coming in there from Mildenhall. Cable can't find the handle. Interfered with, and he'll take the free kick. Elwood not in possession. Shane Cable from his own defensive 50. Up goes Jackson from behind and pulls down the mark in front of Wasley. He kicks into the middle of the ground. Williams got a good bounce. He's right in the centre. He goes out wide. The target is Willie Dick. Valentine. Dick lost his footing. Pears and Valentine got mixed up. Freeman soccers away from Willie Dick. And again the pack develops outside the square.
There's an opportunity there for Perth, which they should have done quite a deal better. There was certainly an opportunity for a goal there.
Valentine gets his fist to it. Now Willie Dick from a standing start. He's offline, way offline. And the ball bounces over the line and out of bounds. Disappointed with that effort.
Yes, I thought the previous occasion he went to ground twice, once under a push, but the second time he chose to dive to the ground to trap the ball when perhaps he should have used the great skill that he's got.
No, Pears does the ruck work. Comes down to Barrich. Barrich's snap is very high and offline. Well, the Demons are battling very hard. But for a game of such importance for the Perth side, he must be a shade disappointed. As Dennis Cometti looks on, he'd be happy with the West Perth side. "24 minutes gone in the second term. The kick back into play favours Painter. Couldn't hold the mark. Jackson had it and lost it. And now Tuvey. Through the middle of the ground he goes. He's run to centre half forward. Just amazing some of the mistakes that have been made.
He obviously doesn't play basketball.
Mildenhall does very well, finesses, hooks it around his body. Mark almost taken by Hall. Now the snapshot from 30 metres, and that's another beauty. He's kicked 2 for West Perth today, and although there's been quite a few mistakes made, it's West Perth who have been far the more positive side, and they've run to this very big lead now before half-time.
At least he persists, Tuvey. He missed both those bounces, but the ball spilled free. Spilled free, and there's a very good shepherd coming up here from Darren Thomas. When the ball spills free here, and Hall uses Thomas, and he copped quite a knock in that shepherd, because he was in the hands of the trainers for quite a few minutes after, but he contributed to the goal from Hall.
Well, Gishin is taking the opportunity to rest his only ruckman, Wasley, with this big lead. Perth with a chance to go forward. Marnie gets it to Williams. Williams short kick. Hasty got a hand to it. Hasty comes back. He's 30 metres out and kicks him. No, he's missed. Oh,
and had the time to steady, I would suggest, Wally, then, and make certain of a goal.
Well, that is a bad miss, because they've been outscored 7 goals to 2 so far in this second term. And with only time on to play, they need a couple of late ones if they can get them. Short kick in is marked by Jones. He's still behind the half-back line. Gets around Hasty, former Swan District's teammates. This is Mifka. O'Brien. And there is no one within 20 metres of O'Brien as Thompson goes across to him now, but that means that Thompson has left West. West at centre half forward spears the pass into Simmons, who is the player who has come on to replace Wosley. He's only been out there 30 seconds. And he will shoot from about the 50-metre line. He's got this strong breeze coming over his left shoulder.
He can kick it a mile too, well.
Well, it's more or less across the ground, but if anything, it would be favouring the end to which he's kicking. Hasn't quite got the distance. It was almost a West Perth mark, and Perth would be well advised to get it over the goal line. Wilson claiming the ball back. And he'll bring it back in for the Demons. Thompson is on his own. Robert Thompson out on the right half-forward flank, but he's ignoring that. And there aren't too many other options. Now he's going in the direction of Hasty. In fact, it was probably Jackson he was looking for, but Hasty was lurking at the back as Barracks leads back in the race. He got there before Tuvey, but the boundary line was too close. And so there'll be a throw-in between right centre wing and right half-forward for West Perth. They've dominated this second term. They may well have done enough to win the game. Playing like a team destined to play in the finals as Harris kicks them back towards the 50-metre line and Cummings takes a good mark. Not such a good hand pass. The player hadn't cleared the players in front of him. It was Wilson, and it's gone off hands and out of bounds. Well, it was silly play by Hasty. He should never have given that hand by... Was it Hasty? Sorry, Cummings should never have given that hand pass off. But Wilson should have known better than to call for it. He had 2 or 3 West Perth players immediately in front of him. Jackson is there. Curley across the front. Nicholas knocks it to centre half forward. Danger. Mildenhall has it. Now Ivalich. Ivalich wrong foots everyone. Puts it out in the direction of O'Brien, who almost collided with Harris. But Harris able to call him out, I think, in the nick of time.
Yes, I suggest it was a strong call very late, but they combined well in the end. And a good chip. I think the initial kick came from Mildenhall had the ball, and I think hand passed off to Ivalich, and a good chip pass over to Harris.
Harris from 40 metres, 45-degree angle. This is what Perth don't want. It's just missed. So that's a last-minute reprieve, if you like, as far as the Demons are concerned, but I don't know that they're going to be good enough to get back from here. They'll need to really undergo a remarkable transformation at half-time.
This is danger again, although they could get out of trouble through Marnie. Zakos spins away from Mildenhall, and now Cable. Russell Thompson. O'Brien was out there with him. Marnie, good backup. Kicks long towards half-forward. Hasty. Beaten by Valentine again. Well played. Feeds Robbie West. And from backward of centre wing, kicks towards half-forward. Thomas in the clear. Goes long. Coming to meet it is Cummings. Met solidly by Ivalich. Simmons goes defensively. Thomas again. Lots of time. He goes square. This is Tuvey. Out in front of Barrage. Downsborough from 60 metres. Kicks towards the square. Hall is in front. Punched away from him. Pushed out by Wilson. Overrunning it Curley. Zakos dispossessed. Now Hall from the pocket. Way offline with the kick. And one behind the result.
Perth could very easily be 2 goals further behind after the shot that missed a few moments ago, and then secondly that one there from Hall. They're fiddling around with the ball in defence and just don't seem to have any confidence in their play.
Wilson, good kick back into play. Cummings from behind Hall. Hall claims the mark and is paid. Got first touch. It wasn't a good kick, and it's been cut off by Nicholas as the half-time siren sounds here. And a brilliant second turn by West Perth, where they kicked 7 goals 4. They're now 11-7-73. The Demons kicked 2-2. They double their money and go to 28. The goal scorers for West Perth at half-time: Mildenhall, Thomas and Hall, all with 2. Contributors 2 from O'Brien and Robbie West. For Perth, all singles to Dick, Allard, Jackson and McNaughton. Well, the big game outside this one today is the Derby, and it's closing up there. East Fremantle, a good second term, have come back against South. East Perth playing surprisingly well against Claremont, and Subiaco leading Swan Districts at half-time in the match at league headquarters. Here, it's a very disappointed Perth side, and not enough contributors, Brian.
No, they've been very disappointing, Perth, and I made the comment during the call. I really don't think their players are working anywhere near hard enough when West Perth have the ball. With the advantage of our position high in the grandstand, when the ball goes down the ground, you can often look out and you see that the Perth players just aren't pushing back hard into defence. The defenders have got to be one out, and more often than that, they're not only got their own opponent, but a running player from West Perth. And until Perth pick that area up, I think they're going to struggle.
Quarter by quarter, you can see fairly tight in the first term. West Perth just started to get on top at the end of the term, but a very damaging second quarter. 7 goals in the quarter is going to make it hard for the Demons, as Brian has mentioned. Well, here at Lathlain, the Little League about to get underway. West Perth in charge here against the Perth Demons, who need to find something in the third quarter.